first match. It's going to be against Giants. We beat them and we want to do it again. And this time we're facing them and don't even give them one chance of winning. I think like Samux is really good, top laner, doesn't lose the lane, even win it.
They have a lot of potential beating us as well if we don't practice enough.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lee Demons, Kaplan, fun time. And of course,
I got this. Let me do it.
Hold on. Gradient Spaniards.
I was going to say RNA evolved into us.
Oh, that's too cheesy, man.
Evolve?
Yeah.
Too cheesy.
RNA is evolving.
Yeah, well, we've upgraded. Like off the side, I was like, screw you guys. I expect a torrent of Twitter abuse coming from him. But, Ocelot, you just had a victory. Good. Obviously he does.
Oh.
I mean, it's a horrible question that everybody asks, is like, how do you feel? And it's like, well, let me think. You just won the game.
Yeah, I just won the game, but somehow I'm this kind of player that when doesn't perform the best, I really go down, you know? So even though we are 2-0 today, I'm very happy for my team, you know? They really did so well. This last game, I got coughed twice because I'm extremely greedy. And I recognize it
yes,
really to everybody.
You went
greedy.
for the Shen.
I went for the Shen and I went for the Caitlyn. Like, you know, like really crazy. And, well, happened that I just got coughed twice and I almost lose the game because they almost do Baron, but luckily my teammates could carry my back, you know?
You know, speaking of your team, I have to ask this because you were usually the rock of the team, the one you can always count on to do well, but Kevin, he's been playing amazing every single week. What do you think about that?
Well, Kevin is like my brother for me, you know, and I feel really a lot of similarities with him. When he loses a lane, he doesn't whine about how OP that champion is. Obviously, in solo queue or streaming, whatever I do, you know. But when it comes into Premier, he's always like, okay, I lost the lane because of this and that. Why do I have to improve to, you know, get better? And exactly what I do as well.
Professionalism, basically.
Yeah, but even though it's called professionalism, not even 90% of the professional players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
everybody's too cocky and too like I don't know. Oh, that hero is OP. I just got outpicked.
That's what you'd call it, though, for footballers, essentially. He's a professional. But I'm going to go back right from the start. So picks and bans, where everybody's seen your book of How to Backdoor by Peke.
Too mean.
You have your tactics guide, of course. Is there anything in there that you perhaps prepared for this game or this weekend with the picks and bans? Because obviously you've got 5 games this weekend. You're 2-0 so far.
Well, in that book there is everything. Like there is all my knowledge and basically most of my team's knowledge. Every single game we got.
You got to make sure you got it with you at all times, then, I guess.
Yeah. What I he was getting closer to my now. Yeah, that's the truth, you know. Like, right there is all my knowledge, all my team's knowledge of every game, of every champion, every patch. Is really crucial information for us to pull out good stuff. And we actually invest a lot of time in studying opponents, invest a lot of time in studying ourselves.
Yeah. And so is there anything in particular that you prepare for the game against Giants? Was it, you know, any picks and bans? Obviously, you know the Spaniards team. You've spoken to them, or
sponsored them as well.
Or I should say you tried to speak to them, because I know some of them have a heavy dialect for you.
So the real truth is, I don't want to tell you what we thought about, because then I will give out some strategies. But the real truth is that we prepared so much for that game, because we know they are pretty good. And their playstyle kind of corners our playstyle, I could say. And we know they are crazy. They want these crazy games. A lot of stuff happening. Yeah, chaotic games. I love it, you know. If there is a chaotic game, they are going to win it. Not even Fnatic, which are supposed to be the kings of the chaotic games. No, these guys are better than them in chaotic games. You don't want a chaotic games against the Ants. They can catch up pretty easily. When I got caught, I was like, that was exactly what I was looking for, you know?
That was what you were meant to avoid.
Yeah.
I mean, the early game started off well. You got first blood, 3 minutes in? Then you had a big fight in the mid early on. Is there anything particular that you thought went well or didn't go well early in the game?
Well, I think it was pretty risky by them picking Ryze, knowing that I play Orianna. I play a lot of Orianna. Everybody knows that, and I really don't understand the Ryze pick. But I think it's more like a team setup thing, because Ryze can stop Bolivia. It makes a lot of sense.
That's what we thought, yeah. And but obviously, Extermin's the Ryze man. I mean, you look at his match history, Indeed. It's all he plays.
Indeed. But it's a double-edged sword. If I get... Like, Ryze is the kind of champion that has to go kind of melee range. And Caitlyn and him were together most of the team fights. And one ultimate of Orianna just shuts down them both. It's
Good
really,
shockwave and
yeah,
good
exactly.
night. Yeah.
That's it.
So is there anything you'd have thought, obviously the Dragon Fights was really when things were turning, and there was a few hairy moments in them Dragon Fights that you were really all very low, and you kind of was like, who's going to back? Who's going to step
Playing
up
chicken.
first? Playing chicken, exactly, yeah.
When that happens, I think Orlando was one of the best champions. I cannot even speak today. And yeah, that back and forth move, we liked it. And that's why we wanted to keep playing it. Even though with Rise TB, even if they all of them come full HP, we can always kite them.
Because you've always got that ball range to just, if you come near this ball, I am going to shockwave
We got
you.
a lot of stuff to go out. We got a lot of, I don't know, we really had flashes up as well. It was really crucial for us, keeping pressure right there. So that Drake fight was really important. Even though I think I probably misbuilt, because I should have went for 20% cooldown reduction first. But well, I messed up, and when you mess up like that, you cannot come back. Because if you do Tier of Goddess, you cannot just do Chailas afterwards. But after that, I think my team played really well. We played really well at team fights. We're a very good team fight team.
And you talk about the team fight, the Baron fight near the end. It went perfectly for you guys, I guess. It was just a perfect engage.
Perfect engage, perfect ulti from Niv, Zara, in the perfect time. And then there's Darius dunking people.
That's the dunk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Dunking people.
But Darius, I mean, we had RNA talk about him. He's really good with the current meta. He's really good to counter the health stacking and the armor because he has that true damage from his ultimate. Why did Kevin play him? Is that the reason, or was there another reason, like to work with your composition?
The reason Kevin played him is because we know exactly the champion pool of them, and we know exactly that if we ban certain champion, he is not able to counter Darius. So there is the bad side of that coin, which is, imagine he actually practiced in this
some sneaky champion.
4 days, the last 4 days. He practiced another champion, then we would probably been screwed. But League of Legends, LCS is mostly about statistics, honestly.
Yeah.
If you got all the statistics right here in the table, you can say most of the games this will happen, most of the games it will happen. We could have got a little bit screwed, but not a big thing.
I mean, the main thing is that we are in week 4, the Super Week. We've got 4 weeks of full-on, easy, researchable material there to just look at these players and look at these teams. You start to learn everything about them. I mean, you'd have it normally if it was an event over a weekend. By the Sunday, you've kind of figured out what that team's doing. But as it is, you've already had a month to check these guys out. Hell, you've been out partying with these guys to get to know them better, so you kind of know what makes them tick as well, especially the Spanish teams when you come up against them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of research that goes into these matches that we, as obviously casters and the viewers at home, just simply don't see.
Well, it's totally true. I really appreciate that LCS have put this one guy, which is right now is me, before was Arane, to actually analyze the right way. Because even though you guys are insanely good at shotcasting, obviously there are some things, because you're not professional players, there are some things you don't catch up, So that's why having this person here is really awesome. And under my point of view, without this insight, we would miss most of the stuff. And there is stuff, I'm pretty sure there's stuff the own person doesn't even say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can't say. I often say, for example, Dignitas, when I see Skara in North America, and he's coming out with some of the stuff, and you just think,
yeah,
you're giving too much away here, bro, dude.
That's true.
This is too much info. When he's talking about the Kale, the Kale was the prime thing, and I think Curse maybe said the same thing. It's like they just keep giving us our champions, and you give them, we're going to keep picking them. So immediately everyone's like, oh, okay. Ban Kale versus Dignitas.
Indeed, you have to be careful with how much information you give out.
Yeah, there's only so much. You can kind of say the obvious things or what's
Not the obvious,
happened.
You can go a little bit deeper, but into the stuff every team knows, basically, but you cannot go deeper than that. So, but of course, this is really important because people at home don't really know some stuff that you don't see, Why is Ocelot having a mana region item that I read it somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
A mana region item at minute 30. Well, it was because my team needed a ward at level 1, so I had to buy that. I couldn't buy boots, 3 potions. So there is a lot of thoughts behind,
Yeah, it's very different to your solo queue mentality. There's a lot more that goes into that. I mean, you see that with the team composition, with a lot of the aura items that get built up. I mean, is there anything particular that you think that obviously you guys play solo queue all the time. This is how another way you make your living with your streaming. And it's the stuff in solo queue that you do that you just have to, I'm in a proper team game here. I have to shake that mentality out of my head.
when you play solo queue during a certain amount of time and then you go with your teammates to pre-med, you can notice you're rusty.
Yeah.
And you cannot even understand why, because mechanical-wise you should be better, right?
Yeah.
But you're rusty because in solo queue, you even gank with Nidalee. You gank with everything. It's totally different as with pre-med. With pre-med, you have to make plays as a team. You have to lane gank in a strange way that the opponent don't actually expect. It's totally different, you know. It's totally different. And of course, I noticed so much when I play solo queue straight, like 2 weeks or something, and then I go pre-med. I'm like, oh my god.
I guess it's kind of like when you're a footballer, you call it lacking match practice. I guess even though you're playing football.
Exactly.
Everyone can play football, but they're not playing football as a full team. Is there anything that you've seen throughout the LCS that's maybe been a bit different to you guys? Is there anything that's that's kind of surprised you in the LCS so far?
Well, I kind of like the best of one matches, if you ask me, because even though my team is supposed to be one of the best, would be better to have best of 3 matches. As for the crowd, it's way better having this, this team can beat this team, even though there is a clear difference in skill level or whatever, I like the best of one matches. I really love it. I love the season, how it's developing, and I think it's going to even get better.
Well, I mean, you talk about the best of one format. Any team can beat any team. Fnatic versus Dragonborns. What do you think in this one?
Fnatic versus Dragonborns is really tricky because even though Shushay was getting a lot of blame by the community in the past, he doesn't play different than before. The only difference is that now he can pull out the crazy stuff he has in mind,
He's allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The item builds, the heroes, maybe the tankiness.
The freedom of mid lane, maybe. I'm not too sure.
Now that you can play 80s mid, before it was kind of tricky, Right now you have a mid and you actually wreck. Maybe about the picks, maybe about the heroes. People play maybe about the, I don't know, masteries. I really don't know, but right now he can pull out that stuff before he couldn't.
Well, we will see, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go over to the casters. The players are getting themselves ready. It is going to be Fnatic versus Dragonborns, and of course it's going to be Quickshot and Joe Miller.
Thank you very much, Demon. So, Quickshot, a big game here with a lot of history, I think we can say. Obviously, Shushay was part of the Fnatic team that won Season 1. Back in the day, it feels like years and years ago by now. Obviously, the first time that I ever casted League of Legends was back at that event. But, Xpeke and Shushay, definitely no strangers to each other. This surely is going to be an interesting matchup to watch.
We heard it during the interview where Shushay even said, look, myself and Becca, we've been rivals even when we were on the same team. I still remember the transition when Becca joined the ranks and, Shushay was moved to top lane, he used to be mid, and then started playing, like we were talking about a few seconds ago, playing Talent when he was sort of the only AD assassin in the game a year ago, and now all of a sudden there's so many of them. It's just allowed him to play so many more champions, and the pace of the game has increased, and it suits his aggressive play style.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering how this game is all going to go down. We heard earlier on that Dragonborns, they don't have really a proper caller in the team, someone to get them fired up when they need it, someone to bring them down to earth even when they've got too overconfident, which definitely happens in the Dragonborns teams. So they need that kind of thing to come out. On the other side, Fnatic have just looked solid.
Yeah,
as a rock, solid.
The team play is good, the coordination is good, their thinking outside of the game is very, very good. And, as we're getting ready for this match, let's have a quick look at the head-to-head rundown. For this particular matchup, Fnatic are going to have that arguably preferable blue side. Whether or not it actually plays out that way remains to be seen. And, of course, so as Cyanide, Xpeke, Yellow Star, and N-Rated.
Yep, and for Dragonborns, we have Spontex, Maluno, Shushay, Hosan, and Movet on support. So, the question is here, who's going to have the better start? Who's going to get going in that one? We're going to take a deeper look at both of these two teams, and first of all, in towards Fnatic, a team which we know like the back of our hands. If you've been watching competitive League of Legends, you know these players, that's for sure. And our highlight for this one is going to be Cyanide, of course, in the jungle. Laurie Happen from Finland. Going to be interesting to see what he actually ends up playing this game. We've seen quite a big variety out of Cyanide so far, and he's taken some quite unconventional routes and builds. We've seen him, for example, playing the teleport in the jungle, which has really actually worked out for him well in that game. So interesting to see what Cyanide brings to the table here.
He was building the makings of an Infinity Edge in his jungle Kayle on his match previously in the day, so we'll see, if he does get Kayle again. His interventions have just been so good last week and this weekend. So there's a lot of eyes on him, and of course with the huge amount of aggression that comes down from Dragonborns, the pressure is going to be on the Fnatic members to hold off that pressure, as well as putting it on Cyanide to help relieve it from them. Give them a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more space.
Well, let's have a look then at their opponents to this one. Of course, Dragonborns. A highlight from this team is going to be Spontex, of course, coming out of France, and a very confident player. I think we can say that, and this might even be a bit of an understatement. We saw him in Poland at the LCS qualifiers saying, I think, to quote him, he was the best in the world.
Well, it's actually, I'm really happy you said that, because I think it was last weekend they had a chat with him on the stage, and he was saying, well, I believe the question was, if Soaz and Wicked are 1 and 2 in the top lane, where do you rate yourself? And without a moment's hesitation, he looked and went, well, 3rd. But until I've played against them, I can't say I'm better than them. And it was a nice statement, because he's sort of going, look, I'll fight. I'll see if I can compare, but I want to get stuck in, I really want to bash heads with these guys and see who can do it. And of course, coming up against Soaz, who's just, we talk about him so much, there's not much more you can be said, and the pressure's here on Spontex to really, be the shining light in this roster.
Yeah, and so as you just don't know what he's going to bring out in this one. We've seen all sorts from him. Obviously, that Blitzcrank in the top lane that we saw just last week coming out. You just don't know what to expect from him. But it will be an all-French matchup. That's one thing that we can say in the top lane. So as versus Spontex, we're going to go into Champion Select and see what these teams are going to throw our way. Already the first 2 bans coming out. Xin Zhao banned out for Fnatic there. Aimed, of course, at Maluno. Was one of the first to be kicking around with that Xin Zhao in the jungle. And Shen taken out, definitely going to be aimed towards Soaz.
Yeah, they don't want him getting the ninja again. They do not want those Stand Uniteds getting in their way of their precious kills, because we do know how aggressive the Dragonborns like to play. Interesting note, as the camera flicked over Hosan, his hair is tied up. And we heard last week, you see, Shusha was saying he played the entire Season 2 with his hair down. Whether or not that makes a difference or not remains to be seen.
He played the entire Season 1 finals with his belly out, but I don't see him doing that here today.
They've got a uniform without a zip this time round. Jarvan and Kayle are the next 2 bans, so removing out Jarvan from Maluno. He has run it in the jungle already. I think his Amumu is sort of been the standout champion as far as Maluno goes, and then Kayle taking that away from Cyanide as well.
Yeah, Kayle out there. There is a Thresh ban at the end. Fnatic not wanting to let Movert have a go with that one here today. And what will they go as the final ban now, Dragonborn? Shen and Kayle so far removed from their side of things. You can see Shusha just scratching his chin with that one, and it is going to be a Volibear ban. That leaves Vi open, and Fnatic no hesitation in picking that up first.
Yeah, instantly locked in. We've seen this earlier today. It was Evil Geniuses, I think, that was running Vi in the jungle as well. So, second time we're seeing her just... It's such a powerful kit, Once you locks onto a target, that's it. That target is going to be focused out. Renekton is available, though. And, I think we've seen Spontex playing it a couple times already. I'm taking a look at his roster. Yeah, 1 game played. He also has a Xin Zhao as well as Kha'Zix up there in the top lane. Number of different champions. It's made it through the bans. It's made it through first pick. And it is a pretty hotly contested pick right now.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I kind of expect that to come out here as well at some point between the 2 teams. Dragonborn's really running the clock down on this one, so kind of telling me that they're not 100% sure where they're going to go. There is the Nasus, which we have obviously been seeing played in North America in the top lane. We've seen it here in Europe by Diamond in the jungle as well.
The last few seconds, hovered over for Sona. It does get swapped to a Mumu. It does get swapped. I had a massive grin when Nasus was locked there, but I think Maluno has been very good on Amumu. I think it's a comfortable, confident pick for him. Yeah. Araneo was actually saying a little bit earlier that he feels Maluno might be one of the best utility junglers in Europe, and it shows. He's saved his champions, he's saved his teams. The problem is, I think, he hasn't really been able to convert that defensive play into aggressive play. And that's what he needs to be doing in order to set the team fight wins in motion. But Sona and Misfortune locked in for Fnatic.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In that a lot of Maluno's ultimates were used defensively to save people. The paramedic coming in there to save the rest of his team. But look at that. Darius and Draven. Draven, of course, the big AD carry of Hosan. We saw it in the qualifiers. He's had it banned out against him a lot in the LCS so far here in Europe, but we're going to get to see that. Darius and Draven on one team, that's going to be mixed up a few times, I'll tell you now.
Yep, exactly. I think it was the exact same bottom lane that they ran against SK Gaming, where they had Darius in the top lane. You know, we mentioned during the previous cast, actually, about how powerful Darius had become. The scary thing here was that Dragonborn secured first blood with the Darius-Draven combination against what I think was Ezreal Zyra, or might have been Misfortune Zyra from SK. And just the damage from those spinning axes, comboed with the Shatter, comboed with the Dazzle, it's GG. And Sona, as you know, popular Reddit quote, less HP than a minion.
Less HP than a minion. So, Elise, another one that's actually snuck through the bans here, being banned out quite a lot already today. And I'm imagining that's obviously going to be going into the top lane. We know that the SOAS can play that one brilliantly. And there is a Nidalee coming in as well for XPK, which we've actually seen him play quite a lot. I guess it could technically be Vi in the middle and Nidalee in the top as well if they decide to change things around. And whole other different combination that Fnatic have in there, but we've seen XPK already play in that AP Nidalee, which he was split pushing like a beast with.
When I think back about the Nidalee performances from Fnatic and the few times SOAS has run the Nidalee, he's tried to build a res that tanky bruiser, split push type of Nidalee, and to be very honest, it hasn't really worked in the past. It was a very sort of, you know, lacking performance, and it didn't get to that power split pushing phase that allowed them to continue to push. So the way that it's set up right now, it is going to be that top lane Elise, and of course, every single spear that Peke has thrown with Nidalee over the last few weeks has just been so devastating. I mean, I think back to Katowice when he was throwing it against the Azubus and landing. I think back to playing against Giants and just catching Babetta over and over and over.
He's got the magnetic tip upgrade. You know, they curve around corners, connect easier.
But Lux is locked in. So you've got that, you know, huge damage spike of Nidalee versus Lux. I stand to be corrected, but I think Oslo was running Nidalee when he was playing against Dragonborns last time. My memory's a bit broken on that one, and it comes down to this matchup. Whose Q hits harder and more accurately?
Yeah, but we know that both of these players can hit. You know, more times than not, I think was safe to say. As you said, XPK, last time we saw him play in Italy, his spears were just ridiculously strong. He said that in the interview with us, that he was pretty much just throwing them, and they would just hit like the kind of magical way that Nidalee works sometimes, that people walk into them when they probably shouldn't be. And you see Dragonborns on your screen, and leg shaking action going on there for Spontex. So he's obviously focused and getting ready to kick this one off, but he's going to be up against a fearsome opponent in this top lane in the shape of SOAS.
This is a very big game for Dragonborns. They've got 2 wins and 3 losses under their belt. Fnatic currently sitting at 6-1 right now. So they've got an extra game played. They're the current table leaders, I believe. I haven't seen the update since today, but, you know, they're up there. So Fnatic have got this almost shield, so to speak, that if they lose, they're still up in the top 3, top 4. And Dragonborns need to start picking up these victories. They have already beaten SK. They have the ability to trade with the best of them. And, you know, unfortunately, they did lose earlier today against Gambit, but they put on a pretty good performance. It was very even for a very long time.
So second Darius in a row here. Obviously, we did see Spontex playing him before, actually. Picking up, I think it was a triple, maybe even a quadra at the end of that game earlier on in the season. But level 1 action here, quick shot. Can we expect to see anything going into this early game? As actually, we do see something there with Peke having to use the clarity or the cleanse already.
Yeah, exactly. Got caught with the light binding and just needed to get away from safety. So Shushe's already put a point into that queue. And this is what I was going to say, that the risk at low level, the only sort of reliable CC they've got would be the Cocoon out of Elise from SOAS, and it's just too risky. You've got a Dazzle, you've got Light Binding, you've got the potential of a Bandage Toss and a potential of an Apprehend. You don't want to invade against that. And if Dragonborns decided to go aggressive, you know, they have the abilities. But as you can see, it's just a defensive start, a number of wards throughout the river, and just making sure they have full vision of their opponents if they come into their side of the map.
So mover on this top side. Draven actually is down at the bottom. Shushe's on the top side as well. So we may see some funky switching around coming out from Dragonborns in this game. Right now it looks like Fnatic going to be pretty standard here at the start of things. But Wolves obviously going to be spawning, and that will be the first target for Dragonborns in this early time. Maluna obviously going to be taking the most of that one. Takes the big wolf on the other side. Similar thing for Fnatic. However, it won't be their jungler picking them one up. They're going to be splitting them between Elise and Nidalee.
Well, it's touching on some two very key points here about the swaps. You can see Soaz and Spontex start with the exact same build. The Fortitude pot, the number of potions, and the ward. The difference is Soaz has already placed that ward down towards the entrance to his blue buff, using it for scouting. And if the Dragonborns decide to invade, by about the 4.5 minute mark, the vision's going to be there. So, you know, that 3v1 will be there. But if it's after 4.5 minutes, the ward's not going to be available. We're still waiting for Spontex to put us down, but Peke just being chunked down from those spinning axes of Hosan.
See, one thing that I kind of like is Peke forced to flash away there, going super low. And just to kind of break down the swaps, because they're definitely not conventional what we're seeing here. It's going to be the Draven in the middle lane. We're going to have Taric Lux in the top lane against Elise, bottom lane Sona Miss Fortune against Darius. So one thing that Peke maybe has on his side here, that obviously Draven, when he throws them axes, he's going to flash in here, and there is a first blood. Hosan going massively deep in this one. Can Cyanide actually get on top of him? He's going to charge in there.
Missed.
Not quite getting in with that Vault Breaker, but he's very, very low. There's the barrier. Cyanide's going to have to save him as Hosan tries to get away. Cyanide gets the kill, but can Maluno finish off? He's going to flash into that turret range, gets the kill, gets the buffs. He doesn't need to stand on that trap, which he actually did just stand on the trap there, but he was out of the turret range. He's going to be able to escape, and Soaz now in trouble. He's going to get stunned up, but they've not got the damage. Crazy start.
Dragonborns was such a good start. The kill and the assist going on to Hosan. I mean, that was a flash into tower at level 3. He did use his barrier to tank up some of the damage, but a Draven that's going to start getting that far ahead is very scary. And about these lane swaps, Taric Lux is terrifying. Dazzle is going to be a guaranteed stun, which means the light binding from Lux is going to be guaranteed as well. It's a non-moving target. It goes through the first one, hits the second, so you can even aim it through a minion if you want to, and just combo the rest of the abilities. Once you add Shatter and Loosen Singularity into the mix as well, Elise is super squishy. She's going to have to be on the ball with those repels once she gets her ultimate.
Oh, flash away here from Enrated as Spontex going low there from that Ignite, but got the health pots running. Enrated and Yellow Star combo not quite able to pick up that first kill, but he needs to be careful here if a double up comes across. Spontex is pretty low from that one, and you can see that Yellow Star trying to force him away from this one. They're doing decent damage onto that turret as they go. Spontex obviously does have the option of getting that Apprehend out of there, seeing if he can pull anyone in to do that extra damage, but in the end he will stay safe. And Nidalee, obviously, once Draven's throwing those axes and trying to catch them, Nidalee's going to have basically an easy shot with the spear, right?
In theory, yeah, but the auto attack range is quite a lot shorter. So even if those javelin tosses do hit, it's not going to be too much in the middle. And you can see that Cyanide did come in for a gank, but Peke and Cyanide forced back. Hosan's going to carry on chasing. He's low on mana, but that was a 2 versus 1, which Hosan won.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm at a loss for words. The League of Draven. Peke is going to be trying to survive, but take a look at this 20 CS difference between himself and his lane counterpart. The Apprehend lands onto Enrated.
Here comes Maluno from the back. The bandage toss going to land. The red buff is there. He's not getting away from this one, but Spontex might suffer the same fate here. He is surely going to go down as he switched to middle there. Hosan actually just having a bit of fun. Yellow Star, though, as we go back down, will get taken down by Maluno in the end, and that will be a 2-for-1 in the bottom lane. Nicely done, and Mumu picking up those kills.
Dragonborn's pulling ahead 4-2 right now. This was the key point that we said at the beginning of this matchup. The pressure is on Fnatic. They need to dissipate the ganks. They're not surviving these lane swaps right now, and they haven't responded to it. They haven't moved their champions around or their compositions around. And if you have a look at this, Flash is a third of the way down for Hosan, but I'm anticipating him to go aggressive because that's what he's been doing all game long.
Well, why not? That's his style, you know, very aggressive on this Draven. And we've actually got a Mumu coming around the side. Sona will come to help in Italy. That's 2 heals, which they're probably going to need at this point. Maluna's actually inside of the Wraith camp right now. He's going to be taking this one away. Actually, Shushe very low in this top lane as we just about catch it there. Soaz finishing that one off. And that will bring Fnatic back to 3 kills in this one. And just a crazy, crazy start to this matchup. And it's exactly what we like to see.
Yeah, exactly. This is the kind of game that we've been, waiting for. It's just all out action. Every single lane is non-stop, and it's very unconventional. Hossan's in a bit of trouble, though.
Yeah, we are going to see him push down here. Oh, Vault Breaker not quite getting him across there, Cyanide. And, well, they were looking to get rid of this because, you know, he's died once here, Draven, but he's such a nuisance in this middle lane. Now, Nidalee can't really get anywhere near him.
No, not at all. It does look like... no, the lanes are still sticking for Fnatic. They're sticking to this default of solo-solo duo. Have a quick look at the CS now, because while Peke has been shut down in the middle lane relatively hard, 20 CS behind that of Shushe, the top lane has been shut down, if not more. 30 CS is what Spontex is behind right now. He's also picked up a chain vest, so he was going against the Misfortune Sona in the bottom lane, but by moving to top, now he's finally coming down bottom. That armor is not going to help you against Soaz's Elise, which is why he died. You know, he did not have the items to survive all of the poison damage, and he just got shut down, and I believe we are going to go to a replay.
Yep, let's take a look at that last one here. That was, of course, in this top lane, Soaz versus Shushe. Shushe already down to half HP as we do see the Cocoon land, and he was just a destruction there. Really not a lot. So Repel comes in, and he was able to just about finish off there right at the end. Nicely done from Soaz.
Yeah, Neurotox on that last little Q was just enough to get that last hit. And this bottom lane, though, Spontex has now returned. He gets the Apprehend onto Enrated. The tower's very low, but look at the rest of Dragonborn's closing in.
Yeah, Maluno coming in here as well. They need to be real careful. Nicely dodged there. Bandage toss avoided. Well, here comes the curse of the Sad Mummy. Enrated's going to go down. Maluno is sticking right now, and I say Enrated's going to go down. He will, but it's going to take a while before Spontex finishes up. Cyanide going to go down. Flash in from Hosan, and I tell you what, he's not finished just yet. Sadly for him, he doesn't have two flashes available, but he's going to go for it here. Spear will land. Nidalee turns it around. He's caught it. Hosan going to get the kill in the end. Double from Hosan. The minions finish him off in the... This is just an absolutely insane match, and now they're diving down on towards Yellow Star in this bottom lane. He's in a lot of trouble. Apprehend. Barrier used by Yellow Star. He is bleeding away, though. There is the dunk from Spontex with Maluno tanking the tower. 8-4 Dragonborns.
Dragonborns take the lead, hold the lead, and they start strangling the life out of Fnatic. Kill after kill after kill. We were talking about the chaos of matches. Ocelot was saying how Giants, how well they do in these chaotic, all over the place games. And I tell you what, Dragonborns are showing they can do it too. They have got such a stranglehold on this match right now. They're winning effectively all of the lanes. Soaz is the only one that's managed to pick up a kill in somewhat a bit of a freeway, you know. Shushe just got caught out. But 2,000 gold lead. Peke, he's got the Tear of the Goddess, he's got those Sorcerer's Shoes, and it's going to be up to him to start landing some max range spears to stay in this.
He's got to. That's pretty much all he's got, you know, with a chance right now, because Hosan is so aggressive. Got that Brutalizer in there now with the double Dorans, plus Berserker Greaves as well. So he's going to be able to cover some decent ground and trying to bully XPK completely away from the CS. And so far, look at that, 35 HP as the laser comes out from Shushe. Going to be finishing off those minions. But to be honest, Soaz is not really that scared. You know, he's got the red elixir in there to give him that extra bit of safety as well if he needs it. We can see over on the other side, 2 Giants belts, 2 chain vests coming in there as well. So we're going to be seeing 2 very quick Sunfire capes by the looks of things coming out, which is interesting with that double AP coming out.
Yeah, the Sunfire Cape's mostly just going to be for the split pushing potential, and I imagine the amount of damage that Vi and Misfortune are going to put down with, you know, that splash magic, splash physical damage from the excessive force and the ulti. First out to 4 will be Fnatic securing that one on the bottom lane, and it's going to give them some much needed gold to even out some of the CS differences between these two, you know, the two teams. But if you take a look at the 3-1-1 Spontex, he's 30 or 40 CS behind, but with the kills, he's even on gold.
Now we see a 3-man push coming up. Sun comes down to Soaz. He's going to get bound up there as well. This is bad news for Soaz. As we see Maluno coming, there is the repel. He dives off to the backside as Hosan did die in the middle. 2x Peke, but they keep going. He's very low. There's Curse of the Sad Mummy used. This is the kill coming down, and it comes in for Shushe.
I said at the beginning of this game that Maluno's going to need to use those ultimates aggressively, and he's used 2 perfect ultimates aggressively. Not 100% sure it was totally necessary, but secures the kill, locks them in place, and Elise is a slippery character. He doesn't have Curse of the Sad Mummy, though, as he pushes in for the fight. Crescendo locks him up.
Spontek's going very, very low. There goes the bullet timeout. And we see that Cyanide's low, but he's keeping going there. He will get bound up. Maluno, can he finish off? Exhaust comes in. Move It, gonna die in the end. Now they switch over on towards Maluno. It's gonna be Peke who, in the end, decides not to go for that one. And the Darius axe is actually just, Draven axe is just coming straight down the middle there. Not quite able to pick up a kill. And again, the craziness that is Dragonborns versus Fnatic continues.
The Hosan was not in that fight, so a lot of the auto attack damage is missing, so weren't able to really close out any more kills. And that's what I was talking about. If Maluno had the Curse of the Sad Mummy, what a different fight that would have been. He would have been able to lock up members of Fnatic, would have prevented any of the kiting happening, and really just allowed them to single target focus. Now I'm going to jump into yet another replay, and this is how it played out.
Yeah, this was Peke actually managing to take down Hosan in that middle lane. Obviously did have the help here of Cyanide. Actually, Peke flashed away from the ultimate there. Coming out of Hosan, Cyanide went very low, flashed away. And actually, this is the kill that we saw earlier on with the red buff finishing off Hosan. And, well, it's great. That great, we had to see it again.
Yes, exactly. So we jump back into the matchup as Mover has been taken out by Soaz in the jungle. This carries on, easily able to 1v1 him. The amount of armor that Taric gains will do nothing against the Elise. And with this last passage of play with the 2 towers and the kills, Fnatic are all of a sudden 8-9 up right now at the 12.5-minute mark. In terms of gold, they now have the lead, and Fnatic are stalking Dragon.
Oh, Dragon, we forgot about that, didn't we? Because the kills were coming in all over the place. But now, finally, Fnatic settle into a bit more of a normal pattern. But Maluno, not done here, is going to come in. He actually will be taken away there. Maluno taking a big chunk of damage. Does actually have, yes, he does just about have the Curse of the Sad Mummy available, but the rest of Dragonborn's not really in a position to do much. Fnatic leading with a 2,000 gold lead up at this point. Actually, what am I talking about? I can't even count.
Yeah, all of a sudden, with the Dragon and all the towers, Fnatic have the gold lead. They've just now pulled ahead. And the game is now starting to normalize a little bit. You can see the CS numbers still 30 in that top lane between both Elise and Darius. Spontek's not able to balance himself out after all of this craziness. But in the mid lane, 75 to 80, and the AD carries are bang on even. So Peke, he's balanced himself out after that very, very tough start with Hosan shutting him down.
Yeah, and I think that was really the call from Fnatic was, okay, Peke, it's a hard lane, that's for sure, but you've just got to hold out until we get to the point where we're comfortable to, take that more normal approach to the game, as we are going to see them here going in on towards Hosan. Cyanide going to go straight in there with the assault and battery. Cocoon will land. Hosan using the barrier there. Is he going to stay alive? Cyanide's tanking the turret up here, and he is actually going to go down. Hosan is still alive. Soaz's going to get knocked back. The Q will finish him off, and Mover comes in from the back. That will be a 2-for-1 advantage for Dragonborns.
Hosan is an absolute monster on Draven. That was 2 versus 1. He ate everything that Violence had to throw at him, survived, walked away and said, nope, have a whirling death because I'm not finished with you. Picks up a kill, and just crazy, crazy play. He's just picked up a BF sword now on top of his brutalizer and another long sword. So I expect to see a bloodthirster coming out. If he had some lifesteal in that engagement, I think he would have survived.
Yeah, it was very, very close, that's for sure. Let's take have a deep breath. Talk about what's happening in the game. Hopefully there won't be any kills in the meantime. So, 22,000 to 21.2. Not a big gold lead whatsoever for Fnatic. Obviously coming really in from those 2 turret kills that they've had there as well. 11-9 in kills for Dragonborns. They are spread across as follows. 3 for Draven, 2 for Mumu, 1 for Lux, 4 for Darius, 3 for Draven. Sorry, I told you I was going to get mixed up. The 2 Ds always get me. On the other side, Elise with 3 kills, 2 for Vi, 2 for Nidalee, 2 for Misfortune. So, they're spread across the board on both teams here. And the question is, who's going to have the advantage as we keep going forward in this game? We're 15 minutes in. We've already seen a huge amount of kills, a huge amount of action, and I don't suppose that's really going to stop.
All of these skirmishes have gone back and forth for both teams as that ward actually does get taken out. I don't see, is Maluno wearing a Oracles? No, it was just being close enough and getting the auto attacks down in time. So, skirmish for skirmishes, we've seen both teams picking them up and being victorious. The interesting thing for me is that Hosan's a bit overextended.
Here we go then, Vi is off to the side as well, and look at the damage coming out. Assault and Battery will lock up the kill for Cyanide, and that was just far too easy. And that was Hosan, when they'd taken that ward down, just thinking, okay, we're safe here, let's go back in. He's busy catching his axes as they come up, and they're able to get the kill. Same fate may be suffered here, though, by Soaz. We've got Movet and Maluno, which, you know, is not really that much damage as Cyanide is actually coming around the side. Maluno is still in the brush, and Fnatic have not checked it just yet. Maluno actually going to bandage toss onto Cyanide right underneath the turret. Takes a hit from
Really
Enrated, but they're going to have the turret away. Yeah, nicely done by Maluno to survive it in the end.
Now, this is something that I wanted to touch on just a moment ago. Before those kills had actually happened, now Peke is pushing down this middle lane. There was 2 towers to 0 with the Dragon, and it was only about 2,000 gold that Fnatic were in the lead. But as they pick up another kill, stop picking up more CS and another tower, they're extending that lead further and further and further. If the Dragonborns can start grouping and start pushing towers, it'll even out that disparity in gold. But they haven't picked the fight as a team. It's just been small skirmishes, and while the chaos was good in the beginning, Fnatic have pulled it back, you know, tremendously well. And I think Dragonborns are going to need to take a deep breath here, follow suit of what we've been doing, and say, all right, how do we now start fighting? We've got some items, we hit some crests and power, but we just need to actually make it stick in team fights and objectives.
Well, one thing it looks like Dragonborns are going to be able to do here is move towards that outer top turret. The problem is that Fnatic are actually grouping up here middle, and they may be able to take an inner turret if Dragonborns don't react to this one quickly enough. We are going to see a Mumu recalling Draven, and Taric are coming from that backside as Cyanide and Yellow Star are pushing this inner turret in the bottom lane here as well. And Fnatic, either way, are going to have at least one inner turret. It is going to be that bottom one as they came away from that middle lane, and that is a great power play out of Fnatic.
Yeah, towers and towers and towers, and that's what matters at the end of the day. It is map objectives and the Nexus kill that will determine the victor. It does not matter how much gold you have or how many kills you have, because that's what it is. And finally, the game has slowed down. We've come to a little bit more of a normal pace until Spontex just gets completely destroyed by 3 members of Fnatic. That's the second time in as many minutes where they've been hiding in a grass patch and just blowing the first person that walks past.
Yeah, and that's what they've got the ability to do there with, you know, the crowd control coming out of Elise, not to mention out of Cyanide, all that single target play that he's got. 30 seconds here for that Dragon to come up. Fnatic have already got a pink ward in position. The blue buff is actually available on the Dragonborn side of the map, which they may end up trying to go down and take. You can see that XPK got about 1 billion traps down on that middle lane here, getting good vision from them as well. But with that Dragon coming up in just a few minutes, Fnatic gonna have to get ready for this one as we see the spears coming out from Peke. Half HP removed from Movet's total. He's gonna be putting wards down here to have that vision in the middle. Another spear flashes by from XPK. There is blue buff picked up by Shushe. Here we go, combo coming across, and Draven gonna get involved. Soaz, he's very low, flashing. Hosan gets the kill. Well, there's no one to follow up on that one. It'll be a single kill here for Dragonborns, but will that be enough for Dragon?
Hosan is on fire right now. Look at the damage from that spear. Deathcap per Sorcerer's Shoes drops Shushe down to about 1/3 of his life. Fnatic want to pick this fight, and Cyanide's diving in with the Vault Breaker.
I actually got caught there by the binding. Maluno hanging around in the middle will actually use that bandage toss to force a flash. Spontex is there. There goes a crescendo. It's a good one. Bullet time. Not fully in range as the curse comes down. Spontex dunks one. There's the second one coming in. Maluno actually picking that one up as a spear from XPK. Will knock Maluno low. But in that entire time, Dragon gets reset as Spontex walks over the trap. Not quite going to be enough damage to finish him off. But another crazy fight around Dragon.
It's
great
just
game.
non-stop the entire time. Whichever team catches their opponents off guard, that's who manages to pick up the kills. Spontex is low. Assault and Battery slams him into the ground, and one more auto attack from Cyanide in the last split second of Spontex recalling. I think LCS players need to start recalling from safer spots, because that's, you know, we get 1 or 2 kills every weekend of somebody thinking they're safe. All of a sudden now, Fnatic turn the pressure to I think that's the second to last inner turret.
Yeah, and the fact that Dragonborns are such an aggressive team doesn't look like Fnatic are trying to counter that with a passive play side, to be honest. We heard XPK last week saying it's time we all grew some balls in the LCS, and, well, they certainly have grown them this week, both teams, by the looks of things, as Fnatic now are going to be kicking off that Dragon. Not sure that Dragonborns will be in range to react to this one. The laser is going to be up for Shushe, but it's going to come in too late there. Dragon already taken down, smited away by Cyanide.
36 kills in 20 minutes. I think this is possibly the highest kills and death game that we've had thus far in the European LCS. Take a quick minute to look at the items, because a moment ago, Soaz returned to base, picked himself up a Giant's Belt, and has now returned to lane. He's been sitting on that Haunting Guys for a while, along with his Blasting One and double Amplifying Tome. So I imagine the Liandry's Torment and Riley's Crystal Scepter will be completed probably at the same time. And Soaz feeling the pinch. Instead of finishing the DPS item, he said, no, I need that Giant's Belt. I need that health and that safety. I'd like to see at what point they start picking up some magic resist, because for the time being, the amount of armor is not going to help against those spears and the poison that comes out of Elise.
Here we go. Peke going to come around the side. Spear launched in the general direction of the Dragonborn's team. Actually, will outrange itself there by the end. Dragonborn's forced away from this outer turret of Fnatic. I mean, the kills in favor of Dragonborns, but look at the turrets here. 5 for 1, and Fnatic just proving the fact that you can end up losing on kills and still win a game if you go for those big objectives. As Hosan headed his way in over towards N-Rated. Will he be able to finish off? Decides against it in the end, but Maluno will land the bandage toss. Can they lock N-Rated down? He will just saunter off to the backside. Dragonborn's deciding it's not worth it. There's another spear from Xpeke will land in towards Hosan. And again, Dragonborn's back off.
Well, I want to point out, you were saying 5 towers to 1, and just how well Fnatic are doing on the map. That was so close to Hosan. That's a 4-tower difference, and I believe 2 dragons, if my memory serves. So with 4 towers, 2 dragons, the total goal difference is only 3,000 right now. Dragonborns are doing very, very well in this extremely chaotic game to still stay in there, but they need to make sure they dodge all of those spears because they are hitting so hard. The Blasting One and Amp Tome from Peke, if that becomes a Void Stop, I mean, Maluno, their tank, so to speak, has no magic resist yet, and he's just being chunked down.
Yeah, that's a real problem for them as well. I mean,
base race.
Xpeke has been doing so. Base race. I'm not sure it's going to turn out that way. I mean, we've got Fnatic pushing here in a turret in that top lane. We can see that Dragonborn's actually deciding, okay, we need to go back now because Fnatic are going to be pushing the entire team from Dragonborns. In fact, is going to be going back there. Yellow Star taking 3 or 4 hits, but the Nidalee heal going to be enough to keep him alive. There comes the Draven ultimate, and they're flying out of the base with those home guard boots on. Maluno was looking to get right in there and get that Curse of the Sad Mummy down. They've stopped that happening, but they've lost an inhibitor turret for the pleasure.
Fnatic making a very brave call there, saying, well, let's just give up the middle tower. We know that that's what they're going to push for, and deciding to go top lane. So it was a good call from them, and it's something that I'd actually like to ask, Ocelot on the analyst desk once this match ends. What did you think of the call? What would you do in that situation? If you were Dragonborns, should you push middle lane? Should you recall? Because now they've got that naked inhibitor, and at any time Fnatic decide they want to go on backdoor, who would have guessed Fnatic would pull that strategy out?
Well, the fact is, if they'd have kept going there, they would have lost the game. So that's just how it is. They were faster than them. They were a turret down. The problem that they have now is that this inhibitor open in the top, and also the inhibitor turret is open in that bottom side as well. So the 2 furthest points of the map right now available for them as Maluno looking to get in there again and get that ultimate down, which doesn't quite land. They've saved the inhibitor this time around. You can see that the amount of Nidalee traps around on the map is pretty disgusting, to be honest. They are absolutely all over the place. Yellow Star going to be taking away that blue buff from Dragonborn's side of the map. And, well, denying it from Lux, it's only a good thing for Fnatic.
Yeah, exactly. Lux, one of those champions that really needs the abilities, the cooldowns, and the mana. Actually going to delay that, donate that over to Peke. So even giving it to, the high priority target of Nidalee. The blue buff should be up relatively soon themselves, actually. So we'll see if that one does get donated to Peke. And it's just going to be the perma blue buff, which means perma traps, more javelin tosses, and non-stop pressure. The 2 items have been completed simultaneously, so Riley's Crystal Scepter as well as that Liandry's Torment just finished up a moment or 2 ago for Soaz. He's just hit a nice peak in his power. A number of other items have also been completed recently. N-rated Sona, still no boots, which is something we're seeing more and more and more. He's got the Locket of the Iron Solaria, so when the dive comes in from Amumu and Darius, they're just going to have that damage shield to help block some of the initial burst.
I think Soaz is one of the big danger men here as well. Got that Liandry's Torment, plus the Crystal Scepter in there as well. So he's healthy, he's got good penetration, got a decent amount of AP in there as well. And not to mention the slows coming out as well. So really overall, Soaz going to be a big danger man in this one. Actually, it looks like Fnatic are again going up towards that top side. The inhibitor, of course, is open as Cyanide will just use the Vault Breaker over the wall and realizes that he's actually going to be tracked down here. Both Lux and Draven up the top side as Dragonborn's dodging that spear, goes straight through the middle of them. That one not quite so well dodged. Mover going to be catching a face full of that one. Maluno going to have to back away as well. He gets hit with another spear down to below half HP, and they're dropping the wards as they retreat. Maluno very close to being connected to by that full range spear. That could well have actually taken him down there at that range, judging by the how the last one actually did the damage. Misfortune pushing up this bottom lane as well, so at some point Dragonborns are going to have to make a decision between that bottom and the top lane. At some point they're going to have to buy some magic resist. I'm still waiting for them to pick up some form of MR. I mean, take a look at the top lane of Spontex. He's working towards that Hex Drinker, which is great for, you know, being bursted down and surviving a little bit. But Sunfire Cape and Warden's Mail against both Elise and Nidalee. So it's a questionable pickup. Yellowstar's going to be soloing this dragon down in the bottom lane and you know, just extending the gold lead even further, taking any map objective that you can. Fnatic have done a good job of slowing the pace of the game down. For the first 15 minutes, it was utter chaos. There is no other word to describe the matchup. But they have slowed it down. They've balanced themselves out. They've got the kills and the items that they need. There's the gold at the moment. 9,800 for a SOAS to 8,000 on Spontex. 9,300 for Xpeke to 7,700 for Shushei. Yeah, Xpeke has done a great job here. I mean, after dying very early on, having a tough lane where didn't really get any farm until they pretty much forced Hosan to be moving it into those different lanes. You know, he's come back in this game completely there, and his item build obviously is painful at this stage. Those spears are a real threat to Dragonborns, and I think you're right in saying that they really need that magic resist at this point, because they can't afford, they can't really hold on to turrets when those spears are coming flying at them like that. No, they don't have the ability to stay safe under that turret. If you get caught by a spear or a cocoon, you're going to die. It's just that simple. You can see that Aegis of the Legion is slowly being worked towards for Mivert, so he'll get that up relatively soon, but it just feels very late. In all of the chaos, what Dragonborns needed to have been doing is thinking about the enemy's composition and building to counter it once things had settled down, once they got to that team fight stage. Great is going to use Baron as a body blocker and take out the last few wards, and it just looks like this Nasher battle will be the next one. Spontex takes a bit of a chunk from that spear, about 25-30% of his HP, and he just cannot afford to keep being hit by them. No, and people like Hosan even less, as we see 2/3 of his health instantly disappear in there. And he will instantly back off, say, well, I just can't stick around, as there is Shushei catching one as well. And that's just it, 2 spears there, and Dragonborns all of a sudden have 2 men that can't really fight. Yeah, there's no way for them to stay in there. Sona also does not have the mana regen to Taric rather, doesn't have the mana or the heals to consistently heal up any of this poke either. So there's no sustain, there's no survivor. Spontex has been caught up by SOAS. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble with this one. Actually, he's going to flash away there. Will he get away from it? Yep, he will just about. And he gets the shield from Lux there just to be double safe in the end. They're all recalling. Look at that. And Mumu has to go back. Darius has to go back. And now, to be honest, Fnatic could just turn around and say, well, Baron o'clock. The problem is Yellowstar's so far away. He's down in that bottom lane. Does have Strut available as well as that Zeal and Boots. So they're going to start running up as quickly as they can. Pekka and Cyanide are going to start this one off, and there's no vision for the Dragonborns right now, so they're not 100% aware of it. Cyanide saving some time using that Repel to get in there. If Draven can get Whirling Death to steal it, he's used it just for vision right now. Will we see a flash steal? And, well, we'll not quite see that, as we are going to see Fnatic have that one away. Maluno going to get slowed down and actually puts Curse of the Sad Mummy down. They've managed to lock SOAS into this one as a crescendo comes across, and that really risky play there from Enrated. Actually was so close to being hit by the bandage toss. Well, Dragonborns do get the one kill, but look at Yellowstar. He's pushing up middle lane here and focusing in on that turret as Spontex takes the first spear in there. They get the stun down. That's cleansed away, and now Enrated, the one in trouble. He's forced to flash away. Will Dragonborns be able to catch up on him? He's putting down as much damage as he can, but he's just not got the speed. There comes the dunk. Not got enough damage to actually give him the kill. Hosan uses barrier here as Cyanide comes in from the back. Yellowstar is still pushing, this time in that bottom lane after taking the middle inhibitor turret down. And now, you know, Fnatic have just held them there the entire time, as we are going to see YellowStar turn around, kill Shuche as well, and he can go straight back in. He can continue here. He's going to have 2 inhibitor turrets down, and we are seeing finally the recall coming out from Taric. Darius has got to deal with the minions on that top side of things. They're pushing in on that inhibitor as the spear comes across, hits the minion. Hosan lucky to get away with that one.
Stand aside, completely interrupting that Vault Breaker. Vi just wanted to dive in there, get some denting blows down. A max range bandage just locks up Peke. Can Spontex get the upper hand though? Nope, because the movement speed is just too high. The entire time that was going on, YellowStar got every single one of the remaining inhibitor turrets. All 3 of them are down, and at any time Fnatic decide they want to try brute force this, they land 1 spear, that's going to signal it, because it'll be a 5 versus 4. You can have Vi locking people up with their ultimate and allow the rest of the team to secure those inhibitors. Fnatic have 100% control of this map right now.
We've just seen big items being picked up here. Xpeke is nearly getting that Void Staff, Phantom Dancer from YellowStar, and a Giant's Belt being picked up on that return home. So you just see how much that has really helped him. 43 to 51,000 gold currently. Fnatic in the driving seat, and it really is at this stage a case of closing out.
Still no magic resistance for the majority of the Dragonborn's members. Aegis of the Legion still not completed. There's only 2 towers to their name and not very many dragons. I think they've had 1, if that, the entire game. So, you know, Moveit just simply hasn't had the money to pick that one up. Interestingly, though, take a look at the boots upgrade there for YellowStar. He's decided to go for the Fura upgrade, which is the movement speed 12% on single target damage. So if he's chasing, it'll catch. But Enrage has been caught up. Not even enough to blow him up, though.
Now the heal you saw there coming out from Xpeke as well on the backside just keeps him alive. And Peke here from the side, he's going to be throwing those spears away. And now it's easy for us to say you could dodge them, but when they come through the wall, it's not quite that case. That one will actually miss. Cocoon coming in. They're getting on towards Xpeke. There is Curse of the Sad Mummy. This could be the final fight as bullet time comes across. YellowStar at the back. Peke going low, but crucially doesn't die. Spontex being hammered away. It's going to be Cyanide to pick that one up. Cocoon lands in on Maluno. Spear comes in at the end. There is a Vault Breaker shut down. It's YellowStar that picks that one up. The inhibitor going to go down as well. Fnatic heads south. They've got 2 open inhibitors here to be picking off at the end of this fight. They're binding misses from Shuche. The Lucid Singularity does land onto Soaz, but it just doesn't really do all that much to him. Spears coming across, binding misses. 3rd and final inhibitor is going to be taken down here by Fnatic, and they are all but finished in this game. Maybe they'll back away after this one. Mana not exactly great for them at this stage, and they do back away with pretty much nothing left of the Dragonborn's base.
Dragonborns throw everything they have onto Soaz's Elise. Tried to burst her down, tried to pick up the kill, and she just went, whoop, no thank you. Jumps into the air with Repel, completely untargetable, cannot be killed. Then they turn their attention to Peke's Needly and went, right, we're going to blow her up, get the kill. She just heals herself, massive, massive heal, plus, you know, just leaping to safety in Cougar form and easily getting away. Such good play. I think poor targeting from Dragonborns. They picked somebody up, didn't get the kill because they're so far behind in itemization, and that ended up resulting in the team fight loss. Finally, the Aegis of Legion is complete, but when you've got every single inhibitor down, it's too little too late, I'm afraid.
Yeah, a little bit too late for that one. One thing that we didn't really touch on, but certainly can't be underestimated here, is that heal from Xpeke as well. I mean, that is a big, big heal right now. Healing for, what do we have? Around about 500, 600?
Yep, 190 plus 397, so 600 odd HP on every single heal. It's on a 6-second cooldown, so while it's not, you know, spammable, 600 HP every 6 seconds, you're just going to back away, stop for 10, 20 seconds, get your HP back up and carry on fighting.
So Fnatic got the game in their hands right now, but can they close this one out? They've been good so far at closing these games out, unlike some other teams that have had a few issues with doing that. So we are going to see everything thrown in Soaz's direction there. And, well, just doesn't really do anything to him. Dragonborn's going to have to back away again. Fnatic looking like they could be gearing up for the final push of this game. Minions going to be pushed right back. There's going to be super minions coming down all 3 lanes here in just a second. Shuche taking damage. Cocoon going to land in on towards Maluno as the spears come flying in once again. There's as the bandage toss landed onto one. They apprehend onto Soaz as well. They're going to try and get in onto him as Vi will join the fight as well. Maluna already down to half. There comes a crescendo. Bullet Time is going to take down Mover as well. That's 2 kills for Fnatic, but a massive laser.
Damage.
They're going to force Fnatic away for now. No kills coming back in for Dragonborns, and we see that Fnatic are still pushing. Yellow Star hammering away on that bottom Nexus turret, the top one, being hit by the super minions as well. Surely this is it for Fnatic. Soaz is going to pick up one on towards Draven. Shushay and Spontex, the last 2 men alive to try and save the day. Well, the super minions going to finish the job, and Fnatic take down Dragonborns.
What a chaotic game. It was non-stop action from the get-go. You couldn't stop to take a breath because everything was happening all the time. That burst from Shusha that we seen last weekend, it was there, but it was just too late. It was too late in the game. It needed to be earlier.
One of the best games that we've seen in terms of action so far here in the European LCS, that's for sure. And you can see definite sportsmanship between both Fnatic and Dragonborns in this one. But for now, that's it from us here on the caster's desk. We're going to throw over to Demon, Jason, and Ocelot to break down a crazy, crazy matchup.
It was a cracker of a match, Joe, and really very good stuff. So, wow. Wild performance from both teams. And did we expect anything less? I mean, we talked about Fnatic earlier on with RNA about, actually it was you, wasn't it, talking about how chaotic they can be. But Dragonborns, they seem to bring crazy to the table every time.
They are very good mechanically. Their players are very good in situations. They are very good 2v2 situations. They're very good as well. And in mid, then you saw what happened. I mean, Draven literally carried on his back the game.
Well, let's talk about the picks and bans to start with. I mean, is there anything in there that you kind of thought maybe they should have changed up? I mean, with Fnatic, they had they banned out Xin Zhao, Jarvan Thresh. I mean, kind of average bans.
Both lineups, if you ask me, don't really make sense for me, okay? On one hand, you got Elise plus Nidalee, which is really, really good, but they were forced to first pick Vi because she's as overpowered. But Vi doesn't really match up with Nidalee. And Elise is fine, okay, but with Nidalee it doesn't really match up because you go in with Vi, you want team to follow up, you know. And Nidalee, what Nidalee does is she makes you be at the back, meanwhile she's throwing spears. So it didn't really make sense. But the thing is that against Nidalee you need a lot of engage, you need a lot of you need Shurelle as first items probably. You need a lot of stuff, you know. And Dragonborns didn't really manage to do it. So from both sides, it was just up to whoever gets the most global gold is gonna end up winning. What happened is, as we are gonna see later on, the base race changed.
Well, let's go into the replay, Jason.
Okay, well, as also I was just saying, this is a base race. It's kind of a really key point. We want you to describe it, why it's a key point. Actually, no, let's go into the replay and show on your screen. Then you can explain to us why it's such a key point and really what happened.
So right here, we got both teams packed out, and there's one thing for sure.
Actually, I'm going to keep the minimap up just so you can see where the team's going.
There's one thing for sure, that Nidalee will provide way better split push, way better push in general than any other hero. And when Dragonborns realized this, they were like, oh, if we don't want to lose the game, we have to back. But they already lost so much. And when you lose the inhibitor tower, against a Nidalee or against a TF, you know the game is most likely over because the amount of pressure that will create is insane. Movement speed from Nidalee or the TP of TF or whatever, you know, is going to create so much pressure in that lane. So you are free literally to do anything you want because you know that if Nidalee or TF is in that lane, they're going to get inhibited in a matter of 15 seconds.
Well, I want to jump to a question that actually Quickshot asked during the cast, and it was simply a case of, what would you have done in that situation? You know, as obviously Dragonborns were in the middle lane, right in the middle, we saw them bang in the middle of the map. They were going towards that turret, and then suddenly it dawns on you, we could be in a base race situation here. Is it simply a case of get back ASAP? I mean, obviously you guys have kind of been in this situation a few times.
Me and my team are not the best deciding when to back, when a base race, or when to back when they're finishing the game. But with a cool mind, right now, I would just say that shouldn't have happened on the first point, because you have to see that happening. If you see one guy is top and you see the whole team is moving because you got towards top lane, just don't do it. It's fine if you lose the second top tower. It's not fine if you lose any tower. So what they did was the right move. But instead of basing and wasting so much time in getting that first tower, they should have just not get the first tower in mid, and they should have just walk towards top lane. Just walk everybody as 5, packed.
Could they have potentially maybe left one person just getting that tower and 4 gone back?
Not really,
just
because
to make sure they get that tower as well.
If you go top, it's to make sure that if they get more towers, you want a team fight. And if you're mid lane, they're gonna keep pushing because they have 5. So in that situation, it's really hard to say. I mean, obviously, right now we are just
in hindsight, it's great.
Right here, you know, but right there in the game, you know, you are like, you have the pressure. Sometimes, I don't know, you know, your teammates, one guy maybe says, "Oh, base race," and then you're like, "Oh yeah, base race," and you just lose the game because of that, you know.
Yeah.
It's a hard situation. It happened. DB, Dragonborn didn't know how to react. Happens.
And you actually mentioned while we were watching it, you're saying, you know, Fnatic's going to win this. Dragonborn just doesn't have the pushing power, the same amount of damage onto the turrets that that Fnatic had. And I kind of want to go back a little bit to the Draven, because you don't really see many people play him. You've seen I'm a Cutie Pie, I think, for North America, and as well as Hosan here in Europe. What do you think of him middle?
You mean Draven middle?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was just well thought, because Nidalee at the beginning is really weak until she gets some AP. It was pulled out pretty well, as we could see. But having your AP mid, which was Lux, playing not the lane he's used to play, being Lux in a lane that has a very long path until the tower, so you can get ganked pretty easily, you lose domination. I'm not sure it was the best idea. If I was Dragonborn, I mean, the early game was perfect, okay? But if I was Dragonborn, I would have kept, Lux Shushei mid lane against Nidalee, because Lux against Nidalee, Lux is supposed to wreck her. So it would have been a little bit worse, but at the end, you're not putting somebody out of his lane role, you know?
Well, we're going on to our MVP of the game, and it was indeed Yellowstar we gave it to, because frankly, he's just, while they were on the Baron, they were keeping the fight, he just kept on going, kept the pressure on that turret, forced Shushei to go back, and actually got the kill on Shushei. It was fantastic.
He did really good. Mechanically, he did really good team play, and he did really good calls, because I believe the calls made by, the calls of base race and the calls of I'm mid lane killing tower, meanwhile you guys fighting Baron, are his calls, you know. So props to him. He did very good calls. He played really good.
Yeah, I mean,
very
obviously,
consistent.
As a former player of SK, he is a guy that does a lot of time-ins, makes a lot of shouts.
By then, he was the one that made the calls. Right now it's me, but yeah, by then he was the one that made the calls.
Yeah, so it's something he's done, but it was an action-packed game, ladies and gentlemen, so let's get over to the main stage with Shox to catch an interview with the crowd.
Thank you. I'm here with Enrique Cedeño Martinez, or Explique, was that okay?
Yeah, it was fine.
So can you guide us through the picks and bans of this game, you going for that Nidalee, concentrated on poking?
Yeah, it was kind of expected that they pick Lux. So Nidalee is a safe pick. It's about poke, the one that hit more wins, and I felt good about it. But then they put the Draven mid, and that didn't feel that good.
Yeah, the theory was good, but then in action, Hosan absolutely wrecked the early game for you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I was against Draven, I was like thinking, oh well, let's hope my team can carry me this one. I'm just gonna keep dying and dying and dying all the time. He's just sick. Like he 3 hits me and I'm dead.
Think he's a little overpowered?
Not overpowered, but if I'm Nidalee and I have no armor, yes, it is overpowered.
Obviously. Then around 16-minute mark, you guys went for Dragon, and kind of all changed from that point on.
Yeah, at that point we won a small fight, I think. I'm not even sure. We won a small fight, we took Drake, and then I was able to farm my items, and I was back in the game. My spears were taking more than half HP from everyone, so it was fine. After that, it was just a matter of snowballing the game and taking it with calm.
How do you do that? Slow a game down so you can play your own game?
What I did was queue the creeps before they were even in the lane, just using all my mana so he couldn't push the lane. I think everyone was doing the same. Top lane and bottom lane were fine, that's the good thing about it. So we had the advantage in other lane. Even if I was behind, we could just stall the game for all we wanted and wait until I was strong enough.
Because then the final moments, they had a fight top lane, and we saw that they engaged on you, but they couldn't do any damage.
Yeah, I still had the item, the Archangel item, so it was fine. I was fine. I don't know, they tried because they had to, or they will end up losing. But it was really bad that they did it. We just killed 2 for free, no one of us died, and then we just took all inhibitors and won the game after that.
You win games when you play standard. You win games when you play special tactic. What's going to stop Fnatic this season?
I don't know. I think there are a lot of matches to go. Hopefully nothing to stop us, but sooner or later we will lose for sure.
Thank you very much, XPK. Time for a little break, but of course you can still reach us at Twitter, at LOL eSports, hashtag LCS. Tweet us what you expect from the rest of this Super Week. Also over on the NA side, what do you expect of the matches. After the break, we have a super matchup coming up. Gambit, who lost to EG in the first weekend of their European LCS, gets a chance at revenge. Evil Geniuses versus Gambit Gaming, up next.